everyone, welcome back to another Stitches and Scribbles podcast. My name is Erin, and I have lots of stuff to show you today because it's been quite a busy month. So I'm not going to be showing any of the finished projects that were featured in other videos, just kind of for the sake of time. I try to keep these podcasts on the shorter side compared to other podcasters, just because I personally like ones on the shorter side. But you can check out all of my other finished objects for this month on my YouTube channel. I'm still putting out craft fair tutorials as well as crochet with me or knit with me type videos, so you can check those out there. I do have a couple of finished objects to show you today, including some that I just finished this morning that I'm very excited about. I also have some yarn purchases to show you, as well as what's in my work in progress bag and bin. So let's get right on into it. The first finished object I have is a wild oleander hooded scarf. This is a pattern that I have made before. It's by Wickedly Handmade. I'll just show you what it looks like on. So it's this triangle shaped scarf in the front, and then this part is supposed to come up and be a full hood. However, I ran out of yarn, so mine does not fully do the hoodie part of this pattern, but I do really love how it turned out. This was made from the Lion brand Respect yarn. It's recycled polyester. It is a chain spun yarn, which I'm always excited about a good chain spun yarn. I really like how those work up. But if I hold up those stitches, the yarn is actually made of a couple different colors kind of blended together. So there's like a teal, a beige, and a white. And I just really like how this color turned out. I feel like even though it's mostly teal green, it's close enough to a neutral that it'll be really wearable in the fall and winter months. It's also very warm because it is polyester. So very excited to wear that. I'm a little sad that I won't be able to actually wear the hoodie part of it as the pattern was intended, but I still think it'll look pretty with fall outfits and still be plenty warm, just as a neck warmer scarf situation. I am planning on making some of these for some upcoming craft fairs, particularly one that I'm doing in September. I actually reached out to an organization in my hometown that does a fall festival, and assuming my application goes through, which I'm assuming it will at this point based on the conversations I've had over email with one of the directors, it is a fall craft fair festival that takes place at a historic village. So in the town I grew up, there's a little village near one of the elementary schools where all the buildings are meant to look like they're from the mid 1800s to very early 1900s. And they do a fall festival every year where they showcase the buildings. The people who work there are all in costume. And it's just a really fun kind of small town tradition. But I actually learned how to knit there because I used to give tours. And I was the school teacher in the little prairie schoolhouse. So they taught me how to knit so that I'd have something to do between tours that still looked authentic without me just having to like sit there and do nothing. Because they are open for tours, or at least they were every Sunday, but sometimes like we wouldn't get anybody coming through. So they taught me how to knit as a way to pass the time. But I'm now going back to be one of their vendors at the fall festival. So I'm hoping to make a couple more wild oleander scarves, because I think that would be a really good seller in some fall colors, which I'll actually show you the colors I selected in a few minutes. But I'm really excited to make some more of those. The second finished object, and this is going to be one that'll be hard to show on camera because it's so long, it is a pocket scarf. So you just wear it as a normal scarf, and then there's a pocket for your hands on either end. This is actually for a friend who's in the choir with me at church. She said that she She's a special ed teacher, and when she's working in the winter, her hands get cold. So she wanted something to keep her hands warm that wasn't like wearing mittens in the classroom. So this is what I came up with for her. This was made in, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. It's like a speckled gray. So it's kind of a mid-tone gray with some black speckles in it. Unfortunately, I don't remember the color name, but it's would be great in any color. This also is a variation of a pattern that I'm hoping to release fairly soon. That's actually for a rectangle shawl. I just did fewer rows of the pattern and added the pockets at the end to kind of get another practice round in without making an entire version of it. So yeah, that should be coming out soon. It'll look like this, but a little wider, and it uses some interesting half double crochets to make these kind of ridges, and then the lemon peel stitch in the middle. So that is something that will be coming to my Etsy soon. I think I'm also going to do a video on it when it comes out so that you can see kind of what it looks like as it's being made. The next two finished objects I have to show you go together. So first is this tiny little baby hat. I used Baby Bee Lots of Dots for the bottom and for the pom-pom. That one was on clearance in the recent like Hobby Lobby super clearance sale, so I don't know if they're going to continue to have that yarn. I kind of hope they do because it turned out really cute, so I'll be sad if it's gone. And it was one of those where like every color was on clearance. It wasn't just a couple colorways that were going out, it was the whole yarn. So that one might be disappearing, but I think there are enough similar ones out there that you could still make something similar. And then the main part of the hat is using Loops and Threads Charisma, which I got from Michaels. I actually made the hat second, and if you look closely, even though it looks knit, the hat is actually crocheted. So I used a slip stitch in the back loop only to make the ribbing, and then I used the waistcoat stitch to make the body of the hat, and this was the first time that I did the waistcoat stitch. But I think I like how it turned out. It's definitely a very like sturdy fabric. There's not a ton of stretch to it. It's very structured. But I think it turned out very, very cute. I also kind of like that the hat sits up on its own in case it's sitting on a shelf or something. But I love these colors together. And then I made a baby blanket to go with it, and the baby blanket is knit. So I used the Lots of Dots for a majority of the blanket, and I did an applied I-cord edging with that Charisma. This was also the first time I did an applied I-cord edging, and I love how it turned out. I think it gave some great structure to the edges. Usually my go-to is to do crocheted edgings for baby blankets and just do a single crochet all the way around, but I like how this looks so much better. So that is a set that is going to be gifted to my husband's cousin because she is expecting her first baby. But I thought these are super cute together. I try to do kind of like non-traditional baby blanket colors when I give baby blankets as gifts, just because I never know if the person I'm gifting it to has family members who are really into knit or crochet or make the like traditional heirloom baby blankets. So I tend to stick with like chunky yarn or funky colors when I make things. And I almost always specifically say like it's a stroller blanket or it's a car seat blanket. I make them slightly bigger than most like little tiny baby blankets are. And I tend to gravitate towards the chunky yarn if it's available. So that's probably what I'll do for this too, even though I'm pretty sure there are no other knitters, at least on my husband's side of the family, so his cousin's side of the family. But I don't know about her husband's side of the family if there's a knitter or crocheter who does the more traditional baby blankets. But I noticed that a lot of the baby items on her registry were in like browns and greens. She had a lot of like forest themed things. She had a lot of dinosaur themed things. So I figured those colors worked well. I know the Lots of Dots was called Baby Camo. I don't remember what shade of the Charisma yarn that was, but it's like the mid-toned green, not a forest green and not a lime green. It's kind of a dusty, almost grayish green color. Those are my finished objects for the month. So let's dive right into some whips. One of them will look familiar because I was actually working on it last month, but I am still working on a summer hexagon cardigan. I'm about to lose my loop, which is why I'm looking down. This is the start of the second half of the cardigan. I finished the first half and showed it in my last podcast episode, but this is how far I've gotten on the second half. I have probably half the skein left, a little more than half to go through, but I'm hoping to finish that in the next week or so that I can get the tutorial out for you all, because I've been working on it for a while and I would like to be done with it so that I still have some time left this summer to wear it. So that hopefully will happen soon. Is that my only whip? Did I finish everything? Oh no, there's one more down in here and the hook fell out, so I might be ripping out stitches, but this is the start of that prayer shawl I was talking about. So you can see it's a lot longer than the scarf was. It's going to have a lot more rows, and I have just started with the edging. It's in this really nice purple, and I'll pull out one of the skeins. This is Big Twist Soft in the color Violet. I have 3 or 4 of these, 3 of these, in order to do the prayer shawl, and this is the version that I'm going to photograph for the written pattern that will be on my Etsy site. So you can keep an eye out for that. And that's it for whips. I was really trying this month to bring down my number of active whips. I do know I still have a couple down in the basement that are unfinished, but they've been sitting for a while. So I'm trying to, each time I start like a brand new project, I also pull out one of the old whips to work on, just so that I'm slowly getting through those other random projects that are hidden away downstairs, with the hopes of eventually finishing all of them so that my craft cart downstairs is completely free of random projects. I really like using the craft cart for all of my whips. Unfortunately, because the craft cart stays in the basement and doesn't like roll around with me like it did in my apartment, I haven't been using it as frequently. It kind of just stays by my work table in the basement, and bags and boxes for my whips have worked better because I can take them around the house with me depending on where I'm sitting. So all of the projects that are on that cart kind of got forgotten about because they're just down in the basement. Very much out of sight, out of mind situation. But yeah, hopefully I will get those done. I know that there's a scarf down, 2 infinity scarves down there that I need to finish. Both of them with hand-dyed yarn. One of them was with a bunch of minis from Emma's yarn, and one full-size hank that a friend gifted to me that's in all like neon greens, blues, and purples. And then I know I have a fall infinity scarf that I started with minis from Fangirl Fibers. And I'm now thinking that that would be a good one to do an applied I-cord edging on with some black. That could be pretty. But anyway, I'll get to that at some point. Hopefully you'll see those as finished objects in one of these podcast episodes. Let's dive into some yarn acquisitions. And most of this was purchased for that craft fair in September. But I did go back to Hobby Lobby because I wanted to check one more time to see if there was anything new on clearance that I had somehow missed. My Hobby Lobby definitely did not put any of the I love this yarn on clearance. That wasn't something they were doing. I know I saw a lot of other people had that on clearance, Mine also did not put any yarn cakes on clearance, like the ones that are multicolored ombre from center to outward. None of those were marked as clearance. So like the sugar wheel cotton ones, there's I think sugar wheel acrylic. Maybe that's what they are. But yeah, any of those where it's like an ombre effect from the center out, none of those were marked on clearance. But I saw other people on social media, their Hobby Lobbies marked those on clearance. So I'm really curious what the system is for Hobby Lobby to decide which ones at which stores go on clearance, because it's clearly not the same everywhere. But either way, I went back just to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I knew I had this big fall craft fair coming up and I wanted some fall colors of I Love This Yarn to make the wild oleander hooded scarves, because I thought that those would be a good piece to sell. The one thing I did get that was on clearance that I didn't get the first time was these mini sets. I got the like Halloween looking ones. This is the Yarn Bee Sweet Minis in It's Fall, y'all. Hobby Lobby does not label anything as Halloween. To me, these are definitely not fall colors. They are 100% Halloween colors. So I think it's kind of funny when obviously this is Halloween, but they're not going to call it something specifically Halloween. Anyways, this has, it says 300 yards. I don't know if that's per color or total. It must be total. I can't imagine any of these little guys is more than 100 yards. Ooh, I can even pop one out. So they kind of look like little tiny flat yarn cakes. I'm surprised how easy they popped out of the packaging. That seems like it'd be a pain if any of these popped out before they got sold. But I did get 2 of these, figuring that they would be fun for some Halloween things. These are normally $4.29 and they were on clearance for $107. So $2 for that much yarn seemed like a pretty good deal. The rest of the yarn I got is for this fall festival to make wild oleander scarves. So the first colorway that I got is the I Love This Yarn print in the color Orange Burst. So I'll bring it up close to the camera. It's like orange with some pops of raspberry, brown, and teal. I thought this was a really colorful fall palette, which I really liked. Sometimes with fall stuff it's like all orange and brown, and I wanted to get a little bit of variety in there. I did get 4 of these because the pattern requires, I think it's 800 yards for an adult size. These have 252 yards in them for the print ones. So I got 4. I know that means I'll have some left over, which is totally fine. But I don't think I had noticed this color before, and I do really like fall color palettes, so I'm kind of surprised that I've never seen it, or never like consciously seen it, if that makes sense. But I'm very excited to do a wild oleander with those. I also did a plain orange. This is the I Love This Yarn in the color Burnt Pumpkin, so a deep orange. It does match the print pretty well, which is fun. And I got 3 of these because there are 355 yards in the solid ones. Then I also got 3 of this color. This one's also 355 yards. It's I Love This Yarn in the color Sea Blue. So a nice dusty teal. And again, it does coordinate with that Orange Burst color. The reason why I got them all in coordinating colors was I figured I'd get at least one hooded scarf out of each colorway that I bought. But I know I'm going to have extras, especially of the solid colors, because that's well over 1,000 yards and I only need 800 for the scarves. So I figured with the extras I could do a regular shawl or some smaller items like my coffee cozies with the extras, but I wanted kind of a cohesive color palette throughout what I have for that event. I might add another color, like maybe a cream or off-white to the mix so that there's a neutral in there. I figured 2 solid colors, 1 print, and 1 neutral is kind of a good balance, if that makes sense. But I'm really excited for that craft fair and for the stuff that I'm going to make for it. And I think that's all. I'm looking around my room to make sure I didn't forget to show you something. I think that's it for what I have to show you. Upcoming stuff this month, I'm hoping to get that hexagon cardigan tutorial out for you. The linen stitch hexagon cardigan that I did a couple months ago is still going strong and getting some more views, so I'm hoping another one will have the same effect. Other than that, you're going to get a bullet journal video, some more craft fair tutorials on Wednesdays, and I'm hoping to do one crochet with me video using one of my yarn cakes that I've had sitting for a while, so hopefully everything will line up so that I can do that as well. I am definitely busy with craft fair season. I have now started my craft fair that is every Wednesday at a local park. It's actually a farmer's market. I'm the only crafter there. But that happens every week now, so I will probably be doing more with restocking my shop more frequently. If the craft fairs are spread out, I don't have to restock things as often, even though the Saturday craft fairs that are designated craft fairs, I tend to sell a little bit more at because people are going with the expectation that it's a craft fair and not a farmer's market. At the farmer's market, I end up with a lot of people who are like, oh, I didn't bring enough cash. I only brought stuff to get my produce for this week. So I end up having a lot of people telling me they'll come back the following week who then forget about it or it doesn't work out, which is fine. I still did pretty well for the first one. And I also have some things I'm releasing on Teachers Pay Teachers, which if you didn't know, I'm a former teacher, so I am hoping to have at least one product come out every week over the summer on Tuesdays on my Teachers Pay Teachers, so I'm definitely making myself busy this summer, but I like that everything's kind of falling together and I have stuff to do all the time, which is very nice, especially because there's no substitute teaching going on for me right now. But yeah, I think that's it for the podcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to check me out on other social media, make sure you check the description. I have all the info linked there. If you like this video and want to see more crafty content, make sure that you subscribe so that you can get notified every time I post a video or a tutorial. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone!